Angolul. Pillanat, ki nem beszél? Yeah, angolul.
I read Sonic Project. Yeah. It was a mentor reading in high school for me, and it's a very different perspective. I know I never learned about
ezeket a bonds, ezeket a
temporary bridges.
And I also never heard of why he sacrificed himself. I always thought that it was a heroic moment for him, and I didn't think that was his family's first. So it was everything.
Yeah, it was a heroic patriotic movement, but everything has a personal experience. This was such a good explanation. What else? What other? Let us do the students first. There's another student who saw twice. What do you think?
Well, it's really interesting to me. I don't know much about history. I haven't, especially going to school here and not in Hungary. I only know U.S. history, and it's great to be able to learn about Hungarian history as well, and also the perspective of not just historical facts, but explaining of emotions, thoughts, things like that. It was really interesting to me. It's something you don't get very often. So I really appreciated that.
That's why I believe that this was a very special documentary, because I had this in-depth explanation and the emotional part of it. So I was very moved first time when I saw it, but even now it touched me very strongly. So I really enjoyed it. And all the students of Hungarian heritage, I think that most of them, and I think it's so important to know your story. These are the movies that really helps to connect in the right way.
And as you know, Hungary is always in a special position in the history, every time, because the position of the country is middle of the Europe, and as we say, Hungary is always the gate of the Europe entrance, and it's our acceptance anyway. Because it's a pity, because that's why always enemies want to come through the country from left, from east, from west, doesn't matter. It is the same, and we often say the history always repeats itself, and it was the problem every time, not only the Middle Ages, but also the 20th century. But in the time of Napoleon, for example, in the 90s. So it's every time. And I don't know, did you understand what the historian guy said at the end of the movie? It's very actual. It's really very actual. Because nowadays problem with the immigrant problem came from the past. We know what was the problem in the past, and that's why we don't want to let this immigrant occupation. And we are against this problem, because if we don't fight against this occupation, it will be not only the Hungarians' problem, but also the whole Europe's problem. And I know it is a little bit difficult to understand, but it's the truth. Really, because most of Europe is a Christian continent, and it's not okay. I know I am very free-minded, and I like every cultures, and I can understand all the cultures, but. It is not enough. as in the story, in the Middle Ages, the Ottomans wanted to come and they wanted whole Europe. And it is unbelievable. And now it is the same. If we let them come to occupy not only our territory but the European territory, Europe will not exist anymore. I'm absolutely sure.
So this was the same.
Because the culture's problem and the culture's difference. So it is not the same. I know here a lot of people from 56 revolution. Did you know about? Did you hear about the Hungarian revolution against the Russian Empire, 1956? It was the same problem, but I must say it is not the same, because Hungary was always a European country, and then because we've got many times, oh, okay, for example, the West and the United States let the Hungarians come in the country. Okay, it's true, and thanks for them. But I must say, Hungary was a European country, a very cultural country, and good talented people, mostly, came to Hungary. And this is not the same situation as we have now, for example, from the Syrian and other countries or the African countries. And I'm not against the. I've been in Africa. I've been in India. I've been in Kuwait and many other places. So and I have a lot of friendships everywhere. But if somebody wants to help to these people, they must help in that country, not in another country. It is not enough to say it's a bullshit if the politics people, some of them, not everybody, say, okay, let them come and 2,000 people go to Germany, 3,000 people go to France, 1.5 going to Hungary, and that's all. It is nothing. If somebody wants to help to these people, I want to help to these people, but okay, let's go there and try help in these countries, everywhere. You understand me? Yes. Okay, thank you.
The sentence, what he was referring to the historian, the last, I think, Fodor Pál.
Yes.
He said that it's no wonder that Hungary did this, what happened with Civic, because that was, I mean, this, and they refer to the nowadays politics, what's happening in Hungary, because they showed it Szigetváron and a lot of times the same thing, that they were standing at the gate of Europe, gate of Christianity.
And
it's 56, the same thing happened, right?
Yeah,
Like
it is
they were waiting for another empire to help them, for America, they didn't arrive.
everybody promised.
And
Everybody
of
promised.
course, Zrini also,
Then-
Habsburg promised that they will come, nobody came, so
Yes, sir.
that's
I
what's
have-
happening.
The Voice of America and the Freedom of the Freedom Europe radio always said, okay, we are coming, we are helping to. Don't worry, coming, we are coming, and everything will be okay. Nobody came. Nobody.
Question?
Well, yes, I have to contradict you on that one, because if you know Vlad Dracula, Vlad Țepeș, the Romanian prince that was 100 years later,
Yeah.
he was the only one who stood against the Ottoman Empire and stopped them at the coast Carpathian Mountains of Transylvania, and he married a Hungarian princess, basically, trying to forge an alliance precisely to stop the Muslims. To stop the Muslims and the Ottoman Empire, which was advancing and taking over Eastern Europe. So there was somebody who stood up and helped Hungary,
It's
basically.
always
But he
Eastern
was put in prison. He was put in prison in one of the famous prisons in Budapest, somewhere in Hungary. Vlad Cepes, I mean, Vlad Dracula. I know you know about Vlad Dracul, who withstood he basically impaled 5,000 Turks at the south border of Romania. He put them all impaled them through the anus up to their tongue, and they couldn't come through. Under Suleiman Pasha, he did that. So there was somebody who withstood against the Ottomans. But it was like another 100 years later when they kept coming, still coming and coming. The Muslims, you are talking about Muslims and about fighting the different religions. That's what you are talking about. And
Yes.
we should be clear about that because it's very important nowadays, you know.
Yes, but we have to consider Vlad Cepes was from Romania, right? So that Eastern Europe, it was one
One
block.
body, one
so
body.
Even, yeah, so we were talking about the empires. One empire
Yeah.
is the Ottoman Empire, the other one is the Habsburg.
Austro-Hungarian Empire,
yes.
the Habsburgs.
Yeah, but
Dynasty.
and in the 56, the Russians, it's again another empire, and
Yeah.
America, the other empire. So we are talking about
We are in the middle
siding
road.
in an empire to survive as a little country. So
Three empires attacked us, basically. The Transylvanian side, Hungarian side, was always under siege because they were at the crossroads between the west and the east and
Transylvania
area.
even
Yeah,
Too
the
big.
crossroad.
we were paying for the Habsburgs and the pay for the Ottomans.
Both, yes.
Okay, what else?
And it was hard. And the Slavs,
Slavs,
yes,
Serbians and Croatians
Yes.
fighting against the Muslims.
right.
Yes,
That's
we are
why
talking-
Bosnia today is full of Muslims because the Turks came
And took over. Yeah, yeah.
But we
Yeah,
shouldn't.
so
And you have the ethnic cleansing. You have the
Yeah.
ethnic cleansing. As a
National
result, the
identity.
consequences are very dire. Millions of people are dying because of these attacks. Yeah.
But we are not talking at that time. We are not talking about nations because the
Yes.
nations were born in the 19th century.
Right.
So before that, we talk about Muslims,
Right.
or Christians, and
Yeah,
then-
we're talking religion here. You're talking
It's
religion.
more, it's like a culture. It's a culture, not just
Yeah.
religion. But, yes,
I
John.
wanted to thank you so much for bringing
Yeah,
this
thank
movie
you.
for us. I'm really happy with it, and I learned a lot today, and I would love to show it to my children. And I have a question
Okay.
on the history side. Do you think if they figure out the Sultan is dead, Zrini would have survived?
I don't think so. I don't think so because his leader, Sokolov, was a very great guy. He was a very good soldier and very good leader, and he kept in secret this tragedy of Sultan. But who knows? It's a question. It's a big question. It was the question
Yeah, it is.
in this movie also because the communication was the most important part of this story. They could do a very good communication always, and
Did they get translators to talk to each other? I mean,
They spoke
Yeah,
so
sure.
many languages.
Yes.
I wonder.
People
Yeah.
spoke different languages.
That's true.
and it was the basic point in this story because if the communication works better, the Christian army from Vienna can destroy the whole Turkish
yeah.
rest of the Turkish army because it was not a really strong and powerful army in this time in that time.
You mean Turkish?
The Turkish. They didn't want this war anymore. The Sultan was at the end of of his life, and the story also. But illness, money problems, everything. So they wanted to go home.
Since they were
And-
paid, probably
yeah.
they would ask for money as was
Yeah,
mentioned.
yes.
Oh, he died, give me my pay and I
Yes,
leave.
yes,
Right?
yeah.
And when you don't fight for your country, but you fight for money, it's all different.
And Sokol could do, he could kept in secret this story, and he wanted to finish somehow, but successfully. And okay, at the end, after the Sultan's death, this empire didn't exist anymore. Really existed, okay, but not as strong as before.
I want to help you a little bit with this immigration explanation because I have an American husband who never really understands what is going on in Hungary and what is going here. And I follow different politics here than in Hungary because of history. So how I explain to my husband, America was always immigrants. It's a melting pot, different colors, different religions perfectly live with each other. But in Europe, throughout history, you know, Hungary was occupied the Ottoman Empire for 150 years, the Russian 40 years before the Nazis. So Hungarian people extremely intelligent and a little bit less aggressive, and they were Christians, and it's really hard for them. They had a really hard 150 years occupied by Muslims, and you know, you don't really see too many mixing marriages there, and you don't really see mixing colors there. Hungarians kind of kept it how it was. So learning from the history, it's really hard to decide now